magical friends. So today I thought it would be fun to do a video on my favorite books on witchcraft or witchy books. I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while now. I did a video a few months back on my favorite books on chakras, since I do teach classes on chakras, and I've been a chakra dance teacher for a while, and I teach a chakra goddess workshop. So I also wanted to do one on my favorite witchy books, and I thought this would just be a good time to do it. I've been really inspired by watching other people's books on, or videos on their favorite books, on their favorite witchy books, and I literally stayed up last night watching like 3 videos in a row of people talk about good witchcraft books, and I realized that I could like sit there and watch these videos forever, and I could sit there and talk about books and read books. I love to read, but I thought it would be fun to just share my own video. So today I have some books of a few different categories. So I have some fiction books and also some like nonfiction books, and I think I have a memoir to share. But I'm just gonna start in not really in any specific order, but some of these are pretty easy for like the beginner witch. And the first one I want to share is Green Witchcraft, and this is by Paige Vanderbeck. And this is a pretty easy starter book, especially if you're interested in like using plant magic, crystals. I do consider myself somewhat of a green witch, more of an eclectic witch, but I love crystals. I love working with plant magic and essential oils. So this one has all of that. It's got some great recipes. It tells you, how to live your life as a green witch, working with the different energies. It's got pretty much everything, and I just think this is a pretty cool book to have. And I come back to this one often because, like I said, it's got some good recipes. It's a good reference book to have as well. And then another one, which I kind of think is a good reference book, is called Everyday Witchcraft. And this is a real easy one. So this is by Deborah Blake. She writes quite a few books, but I really like this one because, as witches in an everyday modern world, we pretty much have to live our normal everyday lives. And so this one's nice because it tells you how to weave your little daily magical practices in throughout your everyday life. And it even has a little section on, if you are a closeted witch, how to decorate your house so it will be still sacred and special to you, but it won't look so-called witchy. So I really appreciated that. I'm not much of a closeted witch, but I do love that she just takes the everyday and weaves it into, or the magical and weaves it into the everyday. So it's pretty easy to read. I read this from cover to cover, but now, you can literally just if you want, kind of use it as an oracle, you just open it up and just see what you can get out of there. And then the next one I have is called Bohemian Magic by Veronica Barlow. Now this book was awesome because I had read this a couple years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, and it was kind of like unlike any other witchy book I had read, just because I kind of consider myself a boho witch. I shouldn't say kind of, I really do. I made a video about being a hippie witch. So, but her style is really interesting. She talks about, all the chapters are named like different songs, and she talks about, when you're connecting with your ancestors, or you're connecting with spirits, you can also connect with, spirits of like musicians past and stuff, which I thought was really cool, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I'm like my kind of boho witchy stuff right here. And she's got some different spells, and it's just a really pretty book too. I'm trying to find some good pictures. She's got some cool spells, and also tells about how to write your own spells, which I always appreciate. That's her right there. I really just think this book is so special and pretty, and I really liked the format. So that is Bohemian Magic. Now I have a few more nonfiction books, but I wanted to start talking about some the fiction that I like to read. And also I'm going to share what I'm reading right now. So as far as fiction goes, everybody talks about practical magic, which I'm gonna have a little honest chat here. I read Practical Magic years after I saw the movie, and I know that books are supposed to be better than movies, and in most cases they are. I did enjoy the Practical Magic book, but I think because I had seen the movie first and it was like my favorite movie for like a long time, or one of my favorite movies, when I read the book it was so different, and I did appreciate that part of it. I like that it was like it's kind of its own thing, but it just wasn't as special because I had seen the movie and I really loved the movie. But then I went and got The Rules of Magic, which I will say this is probably my favorite of the whole series. I also read what's the next one, The Book of Magic, which also was really good. I really connected with The Rules of Magic though, because it was about the aunts, and even in the movie I loved the aunts. I've always loved the aunts. So this was about the aunts and their brother, he's not in, like, referenced in the movie, but this is about their story growing up in the 60s and coming to terms with being witches and their powers. And I just thought this was such a good book. So if you do like the Practical Magic series, or if you are interested in reading the Practical Magic series, I do recommend it. Like I said, the Practical Magic book wasn't my favorite fiction witch book, but I did love the series as a whole. I still haven't read the one that came before, but I want to do that because it's a good series. But this is probably my favorite, The Rules of Magic. And then when everybody talks about Starhawk, so here is Spiral Dance. Here's another nonfiction. So Starhawk kind of paved the way for the the eco witch, the feminine, the Finding the Divine Feminine, and so she's well known for like books like The Spiral Dance, which was very good. This kind of was a big eye opener when I was starting my witchy journey. It has a lot of different practices. It talks about like the 4 directions, womb chant, herbal charms, and magical symbols. I mean, there's just so much good witchy knowledge in this book. But I have to admit, with Starhawk, her fiction stuff is my favorite, and not a lot of people really know about these books, which I think is kind of funny. But so it starts with the 5th Sacred Thing. So this book, I could just really make a video about the series and it would probably be over half an hour, but we'll try to keep it short. So The 5th Sacred Thing by Starhawk, it's about an apocalyptic future in California, and I live in California, so I really appreciated that because she talks mostly about there's a new community and they're pretty much witches. I mean, I don't know if they ever call themselves witches. I guess they do. But working with like peaceful magic, working with the earth. It's very eco-centered. I love that. They're rebuilding a new world in San Francisco with all this like magic and witchy stuff, but also very eco-friendly and like how you think like a nice utopia is supposed to be, right? So this, and then there's the community of the old ways, which is like run like in the South, like near Los Angeles, and it's like military driven. It's just very it's a really interesting story. And then so the prequel, or not the prequel, I guess it is a prequel, it came after, but this is called Walking to Mercury. And I don't know if I think this might be my favorite one. I don't know, the whole series is good and I definitely recommend it as a whole, but this is about the one of the main characters in the fifth sacred thing. This is her journey in the 60s as like a little hippie. Of course it's going to be about like hippies and stuff because I love that. I love hippies, I love witches. So it's about her finding herself and her journey, and then like fast forward, like going on to like a pilgrimage as an older woman, like many years later, and just so it's basically goes back and forth between like the 60s and like this period of time, or not this, I guess it was more like the 90s when she was doing her pilgrimage. All right, sorry about that, my camera fell over. So I was talking about the Walking to Mercury, which is the second book in the 5th Sacred Thing series by Starhawk. Probably one of my favorites, but I think everybody has different views, so I just want to share. And then The City of Refuge, which I don't know, maybe this is my favorite. The whole series is just so good. So this talks about how the people from the north that have their community all figured out and stuff, they're now going to rescue the people in the south that got caught up in, like, you know, the Badlands or whatever. I don't even know. But it's witchy. It's definitely witchy. Oh, and she meets up with gosh, I forget her name. It's been a while since I read this series, but the one of the main characters is a bee priestess, and she meets up with like this like coven of bee priestesses, and I think that's really cool. She does bee magic, and it's just such an interesting series. So I definitely recommend This Sacred Thing, Walking to Mercury, and City of Refuge. So those are my favorite, probably my favorite witchy, even though they're not super witchy, but I don't know, I just really love that series. So with that being said, we're going to go back to another nonfiction, which we've got, this is The Witch's Herbal Apothecary, and I love books that are pretty to look at, but also have a lot of information. So this one is pretty. There's not a whole lot of imagery, but you've got, you know, even permaculture and farming practices. But it does talk about working with the different phases of the moon. It talks about, you know, rest to regenerate your dark crow. So it also works with the seasons. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff in here. Breaks it up. Just the fall portal herb. So, grieving with water and red clover, earth medicine of the West. Let's see. This one's got there's some recipes in here too. There's like herb infused honey, just how to make your own like herbal concoctions and tinctures. But also it just breaks it up into different seasonal phases. And there's just some pretty, like working with insects there. Some pretty images. So that's a really good one. I have this one on my coffee table because it is a great reference book to come back to. And then my next favorite one is a memoir. And this is the only memoir I really have on my list. I also read this one a few, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a while. But it's called Initiated. And this is by Amanda Yates Garcia. I just love hearing about people's journeys, like just life journeys, but mostly if they're witchy or hippie at all, bohemian I should say. If they have any like sort of boho journey or witchy journey, I'm in. But this one really, I couldn't put this down, and I actually was thinking about rereading it just because it's her story of finding herself not only in life but as a witch. And we had a lot of similarities. She's lived in a lot of the same places that I lived in. We're both dancers. And she goes, you know, she travels and she has all these like experiences, not all of them great. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, trauma that we all usually have to deal with in order to find ourselves. But it's just a really good story. I don't know really what else to say besides it's just if you like memoirs and you like reading witchy stuff and witchy stories, then Initiated. This is a really good one. So another one is called Find Your Soul Path. And this one's just another lovely reference book. I have read, I think I read a lot of this from cover to cover, but it's also one of those that, you know, this is by Emma Griffin, and I also follow her on YouTube. She's got a great witchy channel. I actually found the book first, and then when I saw that, one day I was looking at the YouTube channels, and I was like, oh wow, this is the same lady that wrote this book that I like. And yeah, it's just got a lot of, I don't know, let's see, creating sacred space. So it's just like one of those beginner spiritual paths book, like basically how to find your own spiritual path, working with altars. And like I said before, I'm a sucker for aesthetics and for pretty pictures. If you like that sort of thing, this is your book. So not only is it good for, you know, nice, easy, accessible information, but loads of pretty pictures. And it's just very inspiring. Like if I want to wake up in the morning and I'm just kind of like, not feeling it, I'll just open up to this book and, you know, working with your inner child. But you wouldn't think this is a witchy book because it just seems like an overall spiritual book, but I know she is a witch, and at the end, she talks about working with the different Sabbats, which is really cool. So you've got rituals there. There's coming up on Samhain, but there's Ostara. I think I put mine, I thought I had marked Samhain because we are approaching. Yeah, so there's different rituals to work with the different, trying to find that now. There's one for Maven that we just did. So yeah, very simple little reflections and stuff that you can work with. And I really do love this book. Oh, Conscious Motherhood. Where did that go? There we go. That's a great chapter, just because I'm a mother as well, and she talks about, you know, introducing your kids to your, you know, path, but also I appreciate when, you know, you just don't force your path on your children, and I believe that's really important. Okay, the next one we got, oh, sorry, I'm losing all my books now, is another really pretty picture book. Also very easily acceptable. Blah, I don't know how to talk right now. For someone that reads so much, you would think that I have a way with words, but I get a little tongue twisted on camera. Magical Self-Care for Everyday Life. So this is also full of lots of pretty pictures. And I just like this because I feel the modern witchcraft movement is a lot of working on yourself, which I think that's great. I think in order to help heal the planet and, you know, work with other people, you need to first work on yourself. And this is good. It's got lots of pretty pictures and lots of little tidbits of information. This is crafting or creating a magical home. Ooh, there's food recipes too, which I love. I think they're mostly vegetarian, which I am. So I like to have those. Where's the autumn? There was an autumn equinox bowl that looked really beautiful in here. Anyway, working with the feminine, masculine. Find some different pretty pictures working with meditation and breath work. And there's adaptogens and mushrooms. Flower essences, working with herbs, more green witchy stuff. It's a little bit of astrology and tarot. And that's also what I'm missing right now is some books on tarot. And I do have them. I'm actually very into tarot. I just figured that could be its own separate thing. Just own separate video maybe is working with tarot and tarot books. So yeah, with that full moon pasta with cauliflower. So yeah, so that one is Magical Self-Care for Everyday Life. So these are just really simple books to have if you want to just have a little, you know, inspiration for your daily magical life, your magical journey. Excuse me. And then I think that catches us up. Does it? It does. Okay, yeah, so the last 3 books I want to share are what I'm currently reading now. So, speaking of fiction, this one is probably another one of my favorite fiction books. I can't say if it's my favorite just yet, just because I'm only about halfway. All right, hopefully my camera works this time. I've been having some issues. Anyway, so I'm going to the books that I am currently reading. Right now, where did it go? Oh yeah, I was talking about the Once and Future Witches. So this is a really good book by Alex Iyahara. This is a good fiction. I'm only about halfway through, and it's just a good story about like women during the suffragist movement time, and they find like the power, or it's just the lost way of Avalon. So it's like I'm not going to spoil too much, but and like I said, I haven't even finished it yet, but from what I have gathered so far, it's just a really good story. It's taken me a little while to get through just because I've been so busy with work, and I'm also reading 2 other books at the time, or at the moment, but yeah, this one is just so magical and inspiring and uplifting, and just makes you feel, just kind of wish you away into a world of magic, but just women finding their power. And it's about these 3 sisters, and then they find other women. And it's a good magical journey. So I'd highly recommend this one, and it was highly recommended to me as well. So the other one I'm reading right now is called Goddess Energy, and this is more, so I'm a priestess of the divine feminine, of the goddess, and I love working with deities. I know as a witch you don't have to, you know, everybody has their own different spiritual practice. You don't even have to be spiritual. But for me, I do follow the path of the goddess. So if anyone is interested, this is a great book. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through this one, although I have flipped through most of it because she does offer a lot of witchy practices, but it's all about working with different goddess archetypal energy. But she does have some, like, there's like working with love goddesses. There's one on sex magic, which is pretty interesting, working with the different phases of the moon and the goddesses. Yeah, so she's got some information, but also some like different rituals that you can do. Here's the goddess of love, crafting prayers to the goddess of love. So yeah, if you like working with goddess energy, and this just makes you feel kind of goddessy too. So I really love this book. And I'm only about halfway through. I'm reading right now The Goddesses of Protection and Healing. And since I am a healer as well, I really appreciate that. And then the third book that I'm reading right now is just witch. And of course, anything with the title witch or has witch in it is gonna draw me in. And this one, I really like how the sea is the little crescent moon there. But it's Witch, Unleashed, Untamed, Unapologetic. And this is by Lisa Lister, and not even halfway through. But I could tell already I was gonna like this book. It is one of those books that it's pretty easy to read, and like I said, you actually don't even have to read this. I mean, I guess you could read it. Yeah, definitely read it cover to cover, because there's different sections on I don't even know. Oh yeah, so she does talk about the different witches. I did read about that, which is kind of cool. So if you're just kind of discovering your own witchy path, this is a really good book. But even if you've been a witch for a while, I feel like this one is inspiring because I feel like I've been a witch for a while, but it's not something that I go around talking about. I feel like I've become more and more comfortable claiming myself right now as a witch, just because I'm almost older for one thing. I'm a little bit more sure of my path, but I feel like a lot of us have stayed kind of hidden in the broom closet for so long because there is a lot of deep-seated trauma from the past, and even today, you know, there's a lot of people that just don't understand. They don't understand the word witch, and that it's not all evil. It's not these scary, like, witches hiding in the woods eating children. And I feel like this book kind of opens your eyes to the injustices that have been done, not to just witches, but to women in general. And it talks about, you know, the witch hunts back in the day, and how women need to stand up and reclaim their power as women and witches. And so this is a very empowering book. If you like to be empowered, if you like to be inspired, I try to read this one in the morning because I like to wake up and be inspired. So this is a really good book for that. Like I said, I'm not even like halfway through yet, so I'm excited to see. It just keeps me motivated to keep sharing, you know, my path and my story, and to stand up and be empowered, and to also spread the word that, you know, it's not, like I said, witches aren't scary. Witches aren't evil. And I do come across that in my own personal life, to be honest. I've actually had people, you know, treat me a little less than because of that. So I'm, you know, I love things that make me feel more empowered to be who I am and to be a witch. So I think that's it. I'm looking around at all my books. But yeah, this video is probably a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I have so many books, and I probably will share more as I go and as I read, because I do love books. But in the meantime, if you have any books that you want to talk about, and you know, if you want to share, please comment below. But until then, have a magical day.